వెల్కమ్ బ్యాక్. కేంద్ర సైన్స్ అండ్ టెక్నాలజీ మంత్రిత్వ శాఖ DDRC రెగ్యులేషన్ బయోటెక్ సంస్థ మధ్య అవగాహన ఒప్పందం జరిగింది. ఢిల్లీలో జరుగుతున్న కార్యక్రమాన్ని ఇప్పుడు లైవ్ చూద్దాం.
Mathematics and computational biology, and the approach we take is to analyze changes in, diabetes. Basically we talk about changes in tissues like liver and skeletal muscle. So our approach is, rather than look at single genes or proteins, look at community behavior of molecules in a tissue. How the change, what are the changes in this community behavior that drive progression of disease. And for that we do a lot of what we call high throughput biology, a lot of data measurements, and we use mathematical and computational tools to analyze. And once you understand who is driving that community behavior, who are the key proteins, they then become targets for drug development. So once we discover that, that goes through this pipeline of chemistry, pharmacology, and structure, and so on. So it's set up as a pipeline, as a multidisciplinary pipeline with different components. So Revelation, as Ravi has just expressed, is a private company, basically an R&D based organization. Its research focus is drug discovery, enzymology, molecular biology. But as again Ravi just discussed, some of the current exciting developments is Cariolab, which has a huge beneficial effect on improving milk production and fat content of the milk in cattle, and as he mentioned, they expected to launch it later this month. In addition to that, there are some of the more recent products are also in aquaculture, Cariomax and Cariogas. So in terms of our collaboration, the larger goal, of course, is to form a strong private-public partnership that focuses on developing new approaches for diagnosis, prognosis, and treatment of diabetes, and also its related complications. As you know, diabetes is not an isolated disease, but is often accompanied or evolves into other diseases, eye diseases, kidney damage, heart damage, and so on. And under this, we have two specific programs. One is what we are calling the AIP program, which is and here the goal is to develop an artificial intelligence platform that will first identify individuals who are in the very early stages of progression. As you probably know, diabetes is not a curable disease. It's something that you have to struggle with managing. And until a few years ago, we thought of it as more of a middle-aged disease. But what we now see, obviously, very rapidly it's coming into the younger population, and largely because our diets have become richer and our lifestyles have become poorer. So if you can actually, our idea is if you can identify people who are in the, so if you identify the very early stages, you can actually manage and prevent its development and further progression. So the idea is, can we find methods to identify people in these very, very early stages so they have a forewarning and they can then adopt appropriate measures to control it. In addition to that, people who are already diabetic, depending on how well they can or cannot manage it, they become susceptible to associated diseases like kidney disease, eye disease, heart damage, hypertension, and so on. And again, our idea is based on this artificial intelligence platform can actually predict for a given individual what his or her outcome will be over a time scale of 5 to 10 years. So that again, it's a precautionary warning and the individual can take appropriate measures to make sure that those comorbidities do not evolve with the disease. So these actually will be important steps, because right now we work in the blind. Any diabetic has no idea if the practices that he or she is adopting is helpful or not. Only time will tell. And sometimes if time tells negatively, it's a bit too late. So these predictive things we expect should have a big impact on at least helping diabetics better manage. The second component is actually a straightforward drug discovery program. And the idea is to develop a novel drug-like molecule that can block function of this protein called the sodium glucose cotransporter. I'll just explain what that is. But okay, so our AIP program, what I've just to explain the kind of approach we are taking. So the top half actually shows you the progression of diabetes, and you can see starting on the extreme left starts from a healthy individual, a pre-diabetic, and then with time there are multiple, so it becomes a spectrum of diseases with different people showing different combinations of those comorbidities. So our focus actually is, if you look at the bottom left, it just shows you a grass. So the way we are looking at it, the disease development process as a trajectory. So starting from an initial point, it can take different trajectories in different individuals. So I can become diabetic and stages diabetic, somebody else can develop associated complications. The rate at which diabetes progresses in me or someone else can be different and so on. So you have these different trajectories that the disease follows. And as Professor Vijayaraghavan earlier said, what we do is take big data from such patients who are in different stages. And the idea is now to look at captured patterns that are specific to each stage of the disease through mathematical strategies. And once we capture those patterns, we can actually chart the trajectories, again by using machine learning tools, and combine those to develop these platforms